The reason that girl doesn't want to be with you is because you are acting like a girl. You see, girls react. Men should not react. Girls react. A girl will add you on Snapchat, have a conversation with you, and then when you leave her on delivered, open, whatever it may be, she'll unadd you because she got embarrassed and then she reacted and she unadded you. Or one time I had a girl that really wanted to hang out with me and she invited me to hang out 3 nights in a row. I told her I was busy. I told her I was with family. I was working. I couldn't do it. She invited me to hang out 3 nights in a row. I told her no, all 3 nights. She got super embarrassed. And because she was embarrassed, she had an emotional outburst. She got all angry. But you see, it's worse with guys because girls are so good at testing this. Because all girls do is they test you. They want to see if they can get a reaction out of you. So chances are, if she does something where you're like, did she do that intentionally or am I crazy? Chances are she did it intentionally because she wants to see what you will do. So you're wondering, well, what do I do? What do I do? The masculine prerogative is to do nothing.
What most men don't realize is that the very things they think should attract a woman are often the exact reason she quietly decides to walk away. Many men believe rejection happens because of looks, money, or bad luck. But most of the time, that's not what's actually happening. The real reasons are usually much simpler, and they show up in small behaviors, attitudes, and habits that push women away without men even noticing. Welcome to the channel. If you're trying to understand the modern dating world and how women actually think, you're in the right place. As a woman who has spent years observing relationships, listening to other women, and studying the patterns that repeat again and again, I can tell you something important. Rejection rarely comes out of nowhere. There are signals, mistakes, and misunderstandings that lead right up to it. In this video, we're going to break that down together. I'll be showing you several clips, and after each one, I'll walk you through what's really being said and what many men completely miss in situations like this. Some of these points might surprise you, and a few might even challenge things you've believed for years. But if you're serious about understanding women and improving your chances in dating, this conversation is one you'll want to pay attention to. 1. Trying too hard to impress.
That's what weak men do. They try harder. A woman will reject them and they say, I'm going to show her more. Or a woman's moved on with another man. They're like, I'm going to show her I can, get her even more. That's not how to handle rejection. The best way to handle rejection is to understand that if she's not reciprocating and she's not giving you the same love back, she can't be special. Therefore, there must be somebody else.
One of the most common mistakes men make in dating is trying too hard to impress a woman. Now, I know that might sound confusing at first, because many men believe that the more effort they show, the more attractive they become. But in reality, when the effort starts to feel forced, it creates the opposite effect. A lot of men think they need to prove their worth immediately. They start listing achievements, talking about how hard they work, how much money they make, or everything they can offer in a relationship. In their mind, they're showing value. But from a woman's perspective, it can start to feel like an interview instead of a natural conversation. Women are usually paying attention to something different. They notice how comfortable a man is with himself. They notice whether he's relaxed, present, and able to enjoy the moment. When a man is constantly trying to prove himself, it often signals insecurity rather than confidence. Think about it this way. Imagine meeting someone who keeps trying to convince you they're interesting instead of simply being interesting through their personality. After a while, it feels exhausting. That same feeling can happen during a date or conversation. What many men don't realize is that attraction often grows in calm, natural moments. When a man is comfortable enough to joke, listen, and respond without trying to control how he's being perceived, it creates a very different energy. Women tend to respond more positively to a man who seems grounded in himself, rather than one who feels like he's performing. Confidence is not about showing everything you have right away. Sometimes it's simply about allowing a conversation to flow without constantly trying to prove your value. 2. Talking too much about yourself. Another mistake many men make, especially when they're nervous or trying to create a good impression, is talking too much about themselves. Now, this usually doesn't come from a bad place. Most men simply think they're supposed to carry the conversation, so they start filling every silence with stories, opinions, and explanations about their life. But here's what often happens from a woman's perspective. Instead of feeling included in the conversation, she starts to feel like she's just listening to a long presentation. A good conversation should feel like a back-and-forth exchange. When a man dominates the conversation, even unintentionally, it can make the interaction feel one-sided. Women tend to pay attention to how much space they're given to speak, share, and express themselves. If that space isn't there, interest can slowly fade. I've seen this happen many times. A man will talk about his job, his plans, his achievements, his hobbies, and his opinions on different topics. 10 minutes go by, and the woman hasn't said much at all. At that point, she's already forming an impression that the man may be more focused on himself than on building a connection. What actually creates attraction is curiosity. When a man shows genuine interest by asking thoughtful questions and listening to the answers, it changes the entire dynamic of the conversation. Listening carefully also gives a man valuable information. He learns what she enjoys, what she values, and what kind of personality she has. That allows the conversation to grow naturally instead of feeling forced. So the goal isn't to stay silent or become overly cautious. It's simply to balance the conversation. Speak, share a little about yourself, but also invite her into the discussion. When she feels heard and involved, the interaction becomes far more engaging for both of you. 3. Ignoring her signals. Another mistake men make that often leads to rejection is ignoring the signals a woman is already giving. Many men focus so much on what they want to say next, or how they want the interaction to go, that they completely miss the subtle cues happening right in front of them. Women communicate interest and disinterest in very small ways. It's not always direct or verbal. Sometimes it's in her body language, her tone, or how much energy she puts into the conversation. For example, when a woman is interested, she usually becomes more engaged. She asks questions back, she laughs more easily, she keeps the conversation going instead of letting it fade. Her attention feels present. But when interest is low, the signs are also there. Her responses become shorter. She may stop asking questions. Her energy drops, and the conversation starts to feel like you're the only one trying to keep it alive. The problem is that many men ignore these signals and continue pushing forward as if nothing has changed. They keep talking, keep trying to impress, or keep asking for attention that she's already showing she's not ready to give. From a woman's perspective, this can feel uncomfortable. It may come across as someone not being socially aware of what's happening in the moment. A man who understands social cues stands out immediately. He notices when the conversation flows naturally and when it starts to slow down. He can adjust, change the topic, give space, or even end the interaction gracefully if the energy isn't there. Ironically, that awareness often creates more respect. Women tend to appreciate a man who can read the moment rather than force an interaction that clearly isn't moving in the right direction. 4. Being too available. Too quickly.
Don't give a woman too much attention because women like a challenge. They don't like someone who is too available because in our eyes, a man who gives us too much attention appears to have less value. It's sad, but it's the truth. What you want to do is trigger attraction and not affection when you meet a girl.
Another mistake that often surprises men is becoming too available too quickly. On the surface, it seems like the right thing to do. Many men believe that showing constant attention proves interest and reliability. But when that attention appears too early and too intensely, it can create the opposite effect. In the early stages of getting to know someone, a sense of balance is important. Attraction usually grows when two people are slowly discovering each other. There's curiosity, there's a bit of space, and there's time for interest to develop naturally. But when a man suddenly becomes available at every moment, replying instantly, rearranging his entire schedule, and always being ready whenever she calls, it can send an unintended message. Instead of looking confident and stable, it may make it seem like his entire focus has shifted too quickly onto someone he barely knows. From a woman's perspective, this can feel overwhelming. It can also remove the sense of excitement that normally comes with getting to know someone gradually. When everything feels immediate and predictable, the mystery that often builds attraction starts to disappear. Healthy attraction usually grows when both people still have their own routines, interests, and priorities. A man who continues living his life, pursuing his goals, and maintaining his independence tends to appear far more attractive than someone who suddenly becomes fully centered on a new connection. This doesn't mean ignoring someone or playing games. It simply means keeping your life balanced. Respond, show interest, and enjoy the conversation. But don't abandon your own rhythm in the process. When a man maintains that balance, it communicates confidence, self-respect, and emotional stability. And those qualities often make a much stronger impression than constant availability ever could. 5. Lacking confidence in small moments.
Women do not like self-conscious men. Women are drawn to men that don't give a shit what people think about them because that takes courage. That's a level of masculine courage that a woman can never get to. Women will always care about the opinions of others. They just can't help it. But as a man, if you can exude that level of confidence and certainty that you don't give a shit what people think. I'm going to go up to that woman. I'm going to say these things. I'm going to be opinionated. I don't care. I'm secure in and of myself. That's attraction. That's a man she sees that can protect and provide for her, and that's why she's drawn to it. If you want to learn the system of dating, click the link in bio.
The final mistake many men make isn't always loud or obvious. In fact, it usually appears in small moments that seem insignificant at first. But those moments can quietly shape how a woman sees a man over time. Confidence isn't only about bold actions or big decisions. Very often, it shows up in the little things. How a man speaks, how he handles uncertainty, and how he reacts when something doesn't go perfectly. I've seen this play out many times in relationships. Imagine a couple who has been together for a while. The woman asks a simple question, maybe about plans for the weekend or a decision they need to make. Instead of responding calmly, the man becomes overly hesitant. He starts second-guessing himself, changing his answer repeatedly, or asking for constant reassurance about whether his choice is okay. Over time, that pattern can slowly affect attraction, not because the man is a bad partner, but because uncertainty begins to replace leadership and presence in everyday situations. Most women don't expect perfection. What they often respond to is steadiness, a man who can make simple decisions, express his thoughts clearly, and remain composed when things are uncertain tends to create a sense of stability in the relationship. Think about a small situation like choosing a restaurant, planning an activity, or addressing a minor disagreement. When a man approaches these moments calmly and confidently, it builds trust. It shows that he's comfortable with himself and capable of handling everyday life. But when hesitation becomes constant, the dynamic can start to feel unbalanced. Attraction isn't only built through grand gestures. Very often, it grows through those quiet moments where confidence quietly shows itself without needing to be announced. When you look closely, most rejection doesn't come from one big failure. It usually comes from small habits that slowly shape how a woman sees you. Trying too hard, dominating conversations, ignoring signals, becoming overly available, or showing hesitation in simple moments can quietly weaken attraction. The good news is that these are all things men can become aware of and improve. Dating becomes much easier when you focus on balance, confidence, and genuine curiosity about the person in front of you. In the next clips, we'll keep breaking these patterns down so you can clearly see what works and what pushes women away.